But you are such a wealth of knowledge to the wedding industry. And so I cannot wait to hear all that you're going to share with us today. But can you just kind of give us an idea of where you started and who you are?
Oh, sure. And well, before I begin, you're a breath of fresh air
You're
in
so
this
sweet.
podcast world. So we need more. We need you doing more what you're doing, and the wedding industry is thrilled to have you there in Orlando. And you're going to do good things nationwide.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I am Bobby Brinkman, and I started in this industry 40 years ago. Back in the day when you had big cameras, without, actually to put film in the camera, and they were big and they were heavy, and when there weren't that many females in the industry. So
Yeah.
I started off as a sports photographer, a little known fact, covered the NHL and Major League Baseball, collegiate and pro. And actually through all of that, people started trusting me and saying, can you do weddings? And, you follow us in the daytime, our private lives. So it's a good way to get high end clients, but also comes with a lot of responsibility and extra pressure.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the story. I tell everybody all the time that photography chose me, the medium that it is, the power that it has. I always say our superpower is as photographers that we get to capture with historians. So we get to
Yeah.
capture and freeze these moments. And that moment is going to be different to everybody. And the value and the privilege that is something I never take for granted. And why I loved the wedding industry is because it's everybody's story. I get to tell a small chapter in somebody's lives that becomes priceless. It's one of the only services in the wedding industry on a wedding day that I tell everybody goes up in value. Sadly, as we all know, in a wedding and a wedding photo, somebody will pass away. And the minute that happens, that photo becomes more priceless. So I'm very privileged to be in this industry, to be behind the camera, telling, stories in the most authentic moments. And 40 years, the camera side and the biz side, and now I do a little bit of coaching and education.
Right.
Just because I don't want this to go away. I don't want our craft to diminish to cell phones. I want it to still have impact, and I want people to still print photos. And I think it's a craft that we need to nurture and keep hold of.
I love the way that you described photography. I've never heard it described that way before, that it goes up in value. And I think that that's such an interesting way to describe what you do. And so I hope that photographers listening, and really even planners now, as I'm thinking about how I pitch certain photographers to my clients, we always say like, this is the perfect photographer for you, because we really trust certain people,
Right.
and their style. I love that I can say to them, listen, this is going to increase in value. So it's really such an important piece of your wedding day.
Right.
It's
And you have to
incredible.
pause, and planners, you get to design all these wonderful details, and you get to
Yeah.
design this wonderful flow of the day. But we, as videographers and photographers, we're the historians. We're covering
Yes.
who, we're
Uh-huh.
covering where, we're covering what, and the why is that couple. And so we also are entrusted with capturing what you do, all your
Yeah.
designs. We're capturing the florist work. We're capturing the dress designer. So the photographers hold that whole day in their hand. And think about it, that building could be dilapidated. You may get married here and 5 years later, the building's not there. The outside may look different. We all know that hairstyles, clothing changes. So
Yeah.
what we do has an impact on the day, who that was there. And those are your VIPs. You're one of my favorite part of the wedding day. And it truly comes from being on this side of the camera, is when a bride or a groom, whatever couple is walking down the aisle, I always try to tell them in the back, don't rush this. I always do
Yeah.
hashtag don't rush this walk, because while whoever is walking you down has waited a lifetime, maybe it's a stepfather, maybe it's a brother,
Yeah.
whoever has that privilege, when you're taking that walk, everybody's looking at you, but what they're seeing is you as a little girl or the little boy. Oh, that first home run. Oh, I remember when you had your first horseback ride. All the way to when you get to that ceremony and you're thinking, I just got to get down here and I'm looking at all these people. But the people that are sitting there watching you say, I do, it's a flood of the slideshow of your history of your life
Yeah.
and everything that you've been through and all those things. So when we take that moment and freeze it, when you go back and look at it, you see, oh, look at Aunt Mary, look at Aunt Susie. And Aunt Susie and Aunt Mary are looking at, they're going, oh, I'm so glad I was alive to watch this. I remember when you were a little girl putting on your mom's clothes.
Yeah.
So that's what a photo can do. And that's why it increases as it goes and the years go by, is because everything changes in that photo. And the power of that photo is to remind you that you're loved, that
Mm-hmm.
somebody cared about you. And I always say, get a big photo of yourself, canvas, whatever, and hang it in your home. So then on those days that you're arguing or you're annoyed, you walk by it and you remember, on this
Yeah.
day, look what you said to each other, and you're loved. And it's the same way when somebody passes away, you pick up that photo and you can just feel the power in that photo of that grandmother or that grandfather. And as an industry person, as a planner, you can look back and go, man, look what I knew what I was doing. Look, I'm so glad everything I created, my design, it worked for that couple.
Yeah.
It was the match. And you guys as planners, look at the team you assembled. Everything on this day reflected this couple. And that's the power of being in this industry, is listening and matching like vendors so that the day does go smoothly, so that our couples can fully be present and embrace the day and not go, where'd my day go? They get to enjoy it and be part of it. And then they have these photos to look back on it, and they'll each look at that photo and think differently about something. And again, that's just the power of photography.